Oops. Hello and welcome back. This is the Serpent and Dove Show. My name is Aiden Kanisi. This is episode number 4. Continuing on the topic of the subconscious mind. Now, the last episode, we went over the conscious mind and the unconscious mind, as well as the subconscious mind, those three. So, I've been working on the website. Let's start with that there. It's not really anywhere near complete, and very much in its preliminary stages, just as we are here, much in our grammar stages and the knowledge stage of learning all of the concepts here on this show, the Serpent and Dove Show. So, I've been working on the website. How far I've gotten, just developing much of the content, but I figure I'd give a little update. Let me pull it up here. So here we have it. The last episode number 3, we did end on an explanation and a demonstration of these esoteric practices that I have shared here, the whole breath and the through breath. I have those 2 videos right there now. I was not able to finish the explanation fully to go in depth on the 2 because the episode ended, but we will finish off just briefly going over those again, the symbolism behind them and the significance of the 2 here. So with the whole breath, I will have another video. Well, to start off, it does require some knowledge and wisdom of the runes itself, so that in and of itself is another endeavor and exploration that we will have on this show here, on the Serpent and Dove Show. But to start off, even just breathing out slowly, like I mentioned, with the whole breath on the exhale. Like I said, the most powerful forces in the universe are the most subtle. So, thinking along those lines, as well as with the through breath, these are kind of practices that I find myself even doing almost no matter where I am. You can just find your space with whatever you're dealing with. I don't know. So, moving on. So that's the progress with the website here. Oops, bring it up here. So yeah, I will need probably some, who knows, maybe some assistance. I'll see how I will go about doing that. Let's take a look at the slides. Here we are. First one we're going to look at here, continuing the subject of the subconscious mind. Now, I gave a very basic list of what the subconscious mind deals with. most generally in everyday life. And here, we can use it to reprogram using affirmations. Now, to reprogram whatever inconsistencies or whatever we might have went through during the first 6 years of life in our dormant, passive, and the taking in of information and programmings that take place in that stage of life, the first 6 years. We reprogram them, if negative, if need be. We do that with directed will, like I mentioned, and we do that with intent and the expectation that it will be done, and the kind of, like I explained, the magic of speaking forth the words and then enacting the right action and wisdom in those words, encompassing integrity, encompassing unification within this unity consciousness on an individual level. So, subconscious mind. Using the subconscious mind, we can rewire our psychology to whichever level of comfort or capacity in regards to perspective of self and worldview. And like I mentioned, the subconscious mind deals with self-esteem, how we look at ourselves and how we look at others, how we look at the world, and there are negative sort of aspects to society most generally as a whole when it comes to groupthink and hive mind mentality, which are very negative. They are destructive to truth, destructive to natural law and our adherence to it, which is vital to freedom, first as an individual and then as a society. But that is if we are not going along with the narrative that most other people are bought into, and if it's not in alignment with truth, and then it's a simple black and white situation in which there is no gray line between the two, between truth and the ambiguous deception and the confusion of the obfuscation of truth, which is like I mentioned, it's very wide and abroad, the deception of truth, and it's truth. Why don't I move along here? I got a little bit of hit a little bit of a dead end, but why don't we move on? So, with the unconscious mind, now the subconscious mind and how it works and how it comes together, it does encompass both the unconscious and conscious mind, and they all work together intrinsically and in cohesive interdependence. And I just want to mention that, well, actually, we'll get to that, but why don't I read here the dynamic of the unconscious mind, which is cognitive dissonance. I gave a little explanation on the last episode, but we'll go over it here in greater detail. And the dynamic of the unconscious mind corresponds with duality and polarity in terms of dichotomy and perceived confusion, either deliberately or unconsciously. That is to say that people will willingly choose to believe erroneous ideologies and these skewed perspectives shrouded in misconception, and they do it downright deliberately. Now, this is cognitive dissonance. Like I said last time, I could provide an abundance of facts and proof and materials to explain something, but we could still have somebody deny this out of their own cognitive dissonance, their own self-opposition, which is what it is. It's inner controversy. It is confusion, like I mentioned, and we could have cognitive dissonance surface either, like I said, deliberately or unconsciously in many ways. Also, one other way would be that the body, the brain, and the neurology of certain people can be so imbalanced and out of harmony with itself that it would take a lot for somebody, if they even had the will and intent and right action, to get out of a situation out of a state so hardened in one's ego, so to speak, regarding cognitive dissonance and the brain and the body, how even if you do come to your senses in a state being so far gone from truth and reality, and that which is that your body still has to catch up. It will still be shrouded in these programmings and these misconceptions, these subconscious programmings that I mentioned, thinking along the lines of the subconscious mind. So that would be it right there for now. Take a look at the next slide. And the subconscious mind, we will also be learning about the Trivium method, which entails the first step, the first level, the first rung of the ladder up to truth from ordinary thought, and that is knowledge. Like I said, we are in the preliminary stages of learning the knowledge that is prerequisite to understanding truth as a whole and understanding ourselves as humans, as these almost unexplainable entities in terms of mainstream science, that is. So we are in the grammar stages. We are developing the grammar. And so with knowledge, it starts with study and research, the initial stages, which is what we are doing here. I spent the past 2 weeks just studying the subconscious mind and all of its workings, its dynamics, and this is the fruits of those workings, all of the study and research. Just to give an example, so that is level 1, the first stage, that is knowledge. Stage number 2, understanding. Once we have accrued all of the knowledge, once we have acquired, at least to some degree and to some level of sufficiency, enough knowledge to give an understanding and paint somewhat of a picture and use our imagination, so to speak. Now, once we have respectively finished the first stages, we go into understanding, which is the organization of said knowledge. And this is subjective understanding. It is, well, we really want to get technical. It is both the subjective and the objective coming together as a unified whole. We really want to get down to it, and I just had to add that there. So understanding is also internal manifestation. Like I said, the imaginative capacity. It takes imagination to inoculate truth and to even act upon that truth. So that's stage 2, level 2 in the trivium method of learning. Learning what? That is truth. And truth, which is everywhere, which is omnipotent, natural law, or God, or whichever language we want to use. I don't get too semantic and too caught up in these words that we use, well, at least for the most part. That is just speaking generally there. So, moving on with wisdom, that would be the final act of learning truth, which would be right action. Like I said, final act. So, acting upon the knowledge that we have acquired and understanding that knowledge and acting upon it using right action and integration of all that we have learned. And this would be the external manifestation into the objective field of reality. And I've spoke of wisdom here on this show, and you can actually see here in my logo, I believe I've went over this, the trivium method of learning right here in my logo, as well as the serpent and dove entailing correspondence as above, so below. So, moving on, that's the trivium method of learning. I hope everybody watching this will absorb this and apply it in your life wherever you may, encompassing consciousness. They say that, like I said, the numbers are 5 to 10 or to 15% conscious activity that takes place throughout the day. And how do we change these numbers and use them to our will? And what even is our will, if we even have one, and if it is good in the first place? So, considering all of these things, with the trivium method, why don't we move on to the next slide and get rid of this. So, that is the trivium method. And here we see how to use the subconscious mind. Like I said, Oh, like I was talking about, actually, the 5 to 10 or to 15% influence of the conscious mind in daily life. And that is 15% of the time of day, or 15% of influence, however we want to see it. There is still that sort of dynamic of 80 to 20. It's called the 80-20 rule, and you see it almost everywhere. This ratio in life, in almost everyday life. So moving back here, from your thoughts, form good habits. And like I said about the trivium method, if you want to apply that in your life more efficiently, I would suggest you influence your subconscious mind consciously by effort of your own will and intent. Like I say, directed will. I should add here that certain operations, either in magic or in hypnosis or even in certain sciences and disciplines, you must first have a will, an intent, or the universe, the physical universe and its dynamics and operations do not concur and do not meet halfway with your desired will, because it's not there. So this is sort of an operation of magic, at least one definition and interpretation of it that is. So moving on. How to use the subconscious mind? You use it to reprogram childhood trauma. Like I said, the first 6 years, and we're going to keep on kind of repetitively going over that, because it is the root. We got to attack things at the root. Maybe not attack them, but uproot them, whatever it may be. Inconsistencies or feelings of anxiety, depression, or compulsions, obsessions, whatever it may be. All is mental and all is within. And that's the first law of mentalism. So we're always going to keep that in mind here on the Serpent and Dove show. So we can use the subconscious mind to rewire triggers. And that is essential in knowing and understanding ourselves, encompassing the trivium method. And then we act on it. And when we don't act on it, these triggers run our life. These emotions, these unwanted emotions, when we are plagued by duality, we were never intended to live in duality, but we are living in it, somewhat influenced by it, but nonetheless it is, from what I know and understand, the paradoxical nature of duality is not anything that we want or need. And it is almost the dark reflection of nature and of that which is truth. So, moving on. With triggers, now I've explained it has to do with duality. Okay, so use the subconscious mind. One way to use it, another good way to use it, that is, would be to access the unconscious mind. And like I said, we're going to be a little bit repetitive here, but that's the whole point. Considering that okay, now I have a note written here. What we will be using repetition, as expressed in prior episodes, is another dynamic that the subconscious mind signifies, not to confuse with vain repetition. So we will be going over these again just briefly. And I will be reading from my notes generally here, as well as going over the slides, and I will be giving an option for viewers to download the slides on my website that I will have here. If anybody wants to use them for whatever purpose, go right ahead. So feel free. It's very general, objective, true knowledge that can be used anywhere by anybody, and should be used, in fact. So I encourage the use of it. I just wanted to mention that. So we are taking a look at the conscious mind and the subconscious mind in conjunction with the trivium method of learning. We've taken a look at the trivium method. We've looked at the slide there. And the subconscious mind, the musical and creative capacity of the mind, although the conscious mind is the one that will create and will do the molding. Like, let's say you're sculpting an object. Of course, you're consciously going to be creating it. So the conscious mind is, in fact, the creative mind as well, but in its own respects. And when I say the subconscious mind is also the creative mind, I mean it in the sense that it requires more of the influence of the subconscious mind to influence the imaginative capacity of the brain and our mind. So just I wanted to put that out there just to clear any potential confusion. So the subconscious mind, which is the musical, the creative capacity of the mind, it is the passive mind, it is the reactive mind, dormant in a sense, like I mentioned with the first 6 years. That is in regards to dormancy that I speak of. So it is also dormant in a sense that we can be hypnotized. Believe it or not, I know there is a lot of misconception when it comes to hypnosis, and it is actually more subvert and covert than people think. Then it's not so up in your face. Like I said, 5% for some people, there is only 5% of the time of the day that you are consciously aware. And imagine the window of opportunity to anybody who knows this knowledge, who is not of good intent, who would love to harm somebody, and they have this knowledge. They understand, okay, most of everybody only operates 5% consciously throughout the day. That other 85% is a wide area of influence that influences the unconscious mind. That is to say that these subliminal and covert programmings go right past the conscious mind into the unconscious mind, which then, and like I said, the subconscious mind and the unconscious mind both influence the conscious mind up to 85, 90, 95% of the day. So, and these are scientific facts in neurology, in psychology. And I'm even drawing a little bit from psychiatry and parapsychology, as well as fields of hypnosis. So I'm incorporating a lot of fields of study here, but it is all one topic, that is the subconscious mind. So, let's take a look at the next slide, and that is, now I did mention that the conscious mind, the thunder wheel, as you see here, as a means of gauging reality, and that's what we're learning here. The thunder wheel. This is Norse philosophy or Norse mythology, and it is regarding the placement of the three minds that we have. And the conscious mind, which lies at this horizontal elliptic, with the subconscious mind below it, and here the unconscious mind right at the bottom. And like I mentioned, the subconscious mind is the barrier, it is the gate to the unconscious mind. And as much as it is for that, the conscious mind is the gate to the subconscious mind. So, I have here a bit of insight on the conscious mind, and that is, in comparison to the subconscious mind, the conscious mind is observing, judgment. It incorporates rational thought, logical thinking, etc. The conscious mind is the gatekeeper, and it's the bullshit detector, so to speak. If we want to get down right to it in plain slang English. So, compared to the subconscious mind, which encompasses emotions, memory, etc. So, if the conscious mind is active, then the subjective mind is reactive to the conscious mind, and vice versa, in a sense, receptive to its commands, beliefs, outlooks, and determinations. So, knowledge flowing in through the conscious mind is directed outwards by the subconscious mind, and that is how our behavior and our mood, our emotions and thoughts and actions are influenced throughout the day by the subconscious mind. And it's kind of like a self-feeding cycle or operation or dynamic here when it comes to the two minds. So, whether the information is good or bad determines the integrity of our outward perception and world view, and even how we perceive ourselves, like I've mentioned. Thus, the subconscious mind influences our behavior, much like how I've mentioned that we must consciously influence our subconscious mind. It is equally important for the other side of the party, similar to the balance and relationship between the two brain hemispheres, that is the left brain and the right brain. A bit of a correspondence there I wanted to add. And it is also similar to the saying, heart-based knowledge. I'm pointing at my heart here, but you can't see it, but I am. So heart-based knowledge, that is where it meets in the middle between the two. That is also correspondent to the third eye, the pineal gland, which there is an attack on, by the way, which is why there is fluoride in the water. Yeah. So intuitive knowledge. So knowledge is part of the left brain, and intuition is part of the right brain. And when we say we must incorporate intuitive knowledge, we are saying just that, to meet in the middle, to have one eye. And that's the true meaning of money, by the way. One eye, mon eye. That's sort of the etymology and subliminal workings. And sort of how these covert workings go past the conscious mind. Although the subconscious mind knows these things, and it plays on it when these little subliminal, cryptic deceptions and these messages, these subliminals, so to speak. That's how they work. So I have a little note here. It's very interesting. I know I mentioned repetitiveness, but U.C. Irving, neurobiologists, these few people have found that while repetition enhances the factual content of memories, it can reduce the amount of detail stored with those memories. This means that with repeated recall, nuanced aspects may fade away, and this is a form of left brain imbalance, which is irrational. It is, considering that the left brain encompasses irrational. Rational thought, when it becomes irrational, it is, as I say, left brain imbalance. So that is why, in regards to the subconscious mind and affirmations and repetitiveness, it is only to balance out the deeply rooted traumas and programmings that come from the first 6 years of childhood development and psychology and emotional development. So it seems counteractive when I say that, but what about when we apply it to those very deeply embedded core memories, and when we use repetition and these dynamics of the mind and the universe, so to speak, and it is law against law, and we will be using that axiom here on this show quite a bit. Law against law, considering that law is the only thing that can go against law. That we as humans, we invigorate law. We are the etheric principle. We are the divine enactor. We are the divine caretakers of this realm, or this realm of earth. That is, I spoke of the subconscious mind and hypnosis, how those two come together, and the fragility of the subconscious mind in regards to hypnosis. I have spoken of the subconscious mind on the thunder wheel. That is what we call here. That's the thunder wheel. It also has many names. It is the sun wheel. It is an astrological wheel. It is many things which we will come to know as are other things. So I've got a few more notes I would like to share here. Since the subconscious mind works in tandem with all of the other constituent aspects of consciousness, we will also be going, we did go over the other parts, such as the conscious and unconscious mind, and I believe we went over it quite extensively, and just 1 hour into the show here, we are coming up to the end of the topic and all of the research laid out here. So, I spoke of the correspondences and intricacies between the subconscious mind, the emotions, the body, the brain, and the mind together as a whole in and of itself, and how these all come together to make up consciousness in the physical world. Now, with some scientific disciplines, they will have us believe that, now they're very erroneous. They believe that they can neither prove or disprove consciousness or mind, or that we have a free will, or that, and this is all solipsism. This is all what I've spoken of here on this show, self-preservation. It's cognitive dissonance. So, I just wanted to include that there, but they also conclude that mind could not have come from matter, and that the theory of evolution in Darwin's case was that, like I mentioned, self-preservation, these are tenets of Satanism, if we want to speak plainly about it. So, and that is the foundation that holds up the mainstream narrative that is so false and deceived and so ambiguous, and it is no wonder they have no handle on a majority of psychological issues and enigmas with genetics and all of these other questions and gray areas which seem to pose much of an illusory nature, at least to them, in their eyes and their perception, because of how they see themselves, and with their inner controversy, their outer objective reality and world concurs to their inner ambiguity and inner controversy, like I teach here on this show. So this is the groundwork if we wish to build any house that should stand and that should survive any storm, so to speak. So, like I say, all is within, the house is within. We are the judge and the jury to ourselves and our own rights and respects. So, considering all of these, got a few more notes here I'd like to read. Now, in regards to cognitive dissonance, I have a correlation here, and that is that the fact that I mentioned there are only two ways in which we experience suffering: by accepting that which is not true and by rejecting that which is true. Now there's two parts to it. And when you do one, you do the other by default, as by way of duality, by way of the internal and external expression of things. I mean, that would be true polarity, so to speak, and correspondence, and not dualistic construct. So, I believe I had a note from the last episode. I forgot. I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but I will mention it here. And it was in a scenario in which it's a field of scientists, and there is this theory. It's a theory that they've come up with. This is how long ago? They called it the germ theory, and they theorized that illness and disease are contracted by germs and parasites, so to speak. But one gentleman exercised or exemplified contrary evidence, and a very undeniable exception when it came to the theory, but it was nothing but an example of cognitive dissonance on the scientists' part, who were not able to accept the fact that their germ theory was incorrect and inferior to the true nature of reality and the true nature of man and genetics and how they come together, how it works. So, just wanted to add that there. We have gone over all of the slides. We've gone over all of the material that I wanted to get through when it came to the subconscious mind. Now, one last note here. The ego, significant in its own rights, not to be completely done away with, as in to say death to the ego, but not to be confused with sacrifice of a lower self unto the higher self, much like Odin, much like the true meaning of sacrifice, like all of the esoteric figures and characters like Enoch or there was it starts with an M. I forget the name, but they're Christ-like figures. Almost ones who all correspond to a specific age. So we have gone over a good amount of the subconscious mind, a very good, extensive compilation of notes and ideas that we have went over, and we have branched off into other topics as well, other equally important ideas that coincide with all of the other ideas and concepts expressed here in this tapestry that I intend to lay out here in the Serpent and Dove show. So, why don't I go back to the website here. We have upcoming presentations. If you click on the news, you can in fact go to serpentdove.com indepthwisdom.com, and the website is up and running. And a little bit wonky, as you see here, with just the messy. I'm not sure how to write out the code and get that part quite well, but here we have links that would lead to future presentations. One would be the 7 Hermetic Principles, and I speak of the things like mentalism, correspondence, polarity, gender, and there's 7 altogether, but I speak of these principles, the 8th one being care, and I will have a presentation on that coming up. So, dichotomies of our age here. That's another one I've got a lot of study to do on that one. That speaks volumes in and of itself when it comes to the dichotomies that we face as a society. And they are almost coming out with these social engineering tactics faster than the entire truth community can keep up with and broadcast, and even go in depth in order to teach the masses. The numbers are way too high. The influence compared to the truth community is crazy. So, just to give an idea of where we're at as a society, see, that's why I'm doing this show here. That is why I encourage all other people to do the same. That was nothing. So, moving on with the website here on news. The nature of man and music. We will be looking at the nature of man, which is quite simple. Like I say, the nature of man is simply the fact that we have no inherently good or bad nature, but that our nature is programmable, like I say, the first 6 years of life. So we will always be going back to that idea there. And looking at that idea in conjunction with music, we will be looking at the nature of music, where it came from, or who discovered the most widely popular used template for music, and the diagrams, the notes, the frequencies even, and that is Pythagoras. We will be doing a very in-depth study on that one, so can't wait. And another one here, Northing, the future past, that is Norse people. I myself have a percentage of Swedish and Irish heritage, or sharings of genetics. Not exactly Norse or in that area, so to speak, but that is just my affinity when it comes to Norse philosophy. They say in shamanistic circles that you cannot become a shaman unless you are born into it. And the ancestors have awakened in you when you experience visions, dreams, interactions with entities, and these activations, so to speak. So that's one form of confirmation, or one way to confirm that within yourself, that the ancestors, when I say the ancestors, that is the ancient gods. And, if we truly believe in the idea of reincarnation, and we truly believe that, okay, nobody really dies, nobody really gets out alive either. But so these ancient gods and entities, they're ancient, they've been around. We have in fact come from ancient entities, so they know a little bit more, at least intellectually. But if we know all is within, then all is within, then the true genetics of us is unfolding and awakening, even as we speak. So it's up to us to take observation and give witness to what is unfolding. In terms of shamanism, in terms of the genetics, our dispositions, our nature, where we come from. So we will be going over a lot of this. So for the remainder of the episode here, since we did go over the vast majority of my research here on the subconscious mind, unless anybody would have any questions, I do see there is just one viewer, so there is the chat box there. Don't matter who's watching. It's not, no pressure. No pressure. So any questions, I do encourage it. If not, why don't we continue here on the website. So with services, I did mention we will have things coming up. Like I mentioned, the runes, very significant, so we will be learning a lot about them. They are essential and occult, esoteric, important nonetheless, although they are occulted. It shouldn't be occulted though, because knowledge belongs to everybody. But moving along, I do have services on Fiverr, and why don't we just check it out here? So we go to Fiverr.com, you see my page here. I do have services. These are gigs here for about $40 roughly. I will design your company logo. And here I have some examples of my work. See if I can click on this. Let's go to full screen here. My logo here for Serpent and Dove has a nice oval. Some nice vector illustrations. It can be vector drawings. Here, that you see. These are vector drawings. Do those. As well as these nice, flat, minimalist designs. And as well as what you see here with Alpha and Omega Adventures with my son and I's streaming platform. We have a lot of fun there. You can go and check it out if you'd like. I also have just a simple fox. This here that you see is a photoshopped image with an oak tree that was separate from, it was added into the mountains, and the mountains, I also added in the northern lights here for that nice effect. Not to mention that the picture was taken during the day, so I added the night filter effect. So just to exemplify the skills and services that I can offer here on my platform. Here I have just a simple illustration, a cartoon illustration. Again, just to exemplify, this is what I have so far, but I am eager to work and to get started on other projects, whether they be small, intricate, complex, or whatever it may be. Now, this is just a little promotion of my services here that I wanted to include in episode 4 on the Serpent and Dove show, just to sort of advertise the services that I offer on the Serpent and Dove platform. So, thank you. Moving on. I had a donate button here. I gladly accept anything, whether it be big or small. I have this here, this disclaimer, help me operate to my fullest potential with employing truth and distributing knowledge. Like I said, knowledge belongs to everybody. It is not to be occulted or hidden, and then nobody is to sit on any amount of knowledge and be dormant, and that is to be ignorant, so to speak. So, laws of Gebel states that equal energy exchange encompasses universal balance. Let me show you what I'm reading from here. Let me say that again. Laws of Gebel states that equal energy exchange encompasses universal balance. And that's much like how our economy works. We share and give, and without the interdependence of one another to keep us afloat, there would be a hard time trying to find balance. And this platform operates monetarily independent of any institutionalized structure and depends on the integrity and consideration of the people. And that is to say that I have no big, no major promotions, as of yet, no major fundings, no associations with big name brands, yet, and I depend on the consideration of the people. I will be having merchandise, caps, jackets, perhaps. I'm definitely going to have some awesome t-shirts with these designs, much like you see here. I will come up with some very good designs, and it's all for truth. This is all for spreading true care, true love, and true knowledge. True truth, that is. So, we have come up over the first hour, just a little bit over the first hour of recording here, and I do intend on taking a little break, so stay with me. I will be right back. Okay, we're back. With a short break and a little minor technical difficulty. So, moving on. We were looking at the website for the remainder of the show, and I will just add that for the remainder of the show, we will just be, like I mentioned, going over the website. I will perhaps be offering more services. I will show you here. About. Now, if you see here, I don't know why it's going a little bit wonky. Clearly, I need a little bit more. I need to touch it up a little bit more with the way this coding works. So, you go to About. You can read a short biography of myself here. I don't know if somebody else has to write this, or if it's but it's written in third person anyways. Here in Inuvik, Hayden is a philosophical researcher, anarchist, freedom activist, and shamanistic practitioner of multiple bloodline connections that dive into prehistory, like I mentioned with the Irish and the Swedish bloodline connections, as well as my Native American inheritance in regards to genetics and shamanism. Everybody has got their own unique genetic makeup, and with some divine insight, with some intuitive knowledge, you can decipher that and know it for yourself. I provide assistance and guidance and a service when it comes to this particular pathwork in regards to shamanism. And it's all about know thyself, gnosis. So, like Odin, who has spent his 9 days in devotion to consecration, and Christ, the Son of God, that is Son with a U, S-U-N, who has undergone his 3 days of darkness. And these aren't just the only references, but there are many references of resurrection and having gone through many rebirth trials, and you see there's no start or end to these sorts of things. You just, the only start to it is that we start to be conscious of these things, and they happen negatively or positively, whether we are ignorant or receptive to these things in regards to shamanism. So the shaman has also been initiated into the mysteries of the traditions. I speak of that a bit here. Having witnessed that which is and discerning from that which is not, being able to see in the dark. A light is cast outward deep from within. My light, sun, soul, identity, reflected by my moon, mind and emotion, in terms of astrology, and not eclipsed of itself by itself, in terms of inner controversy and self-opposition. This is the essence of my pathwork, which I teach personally and individually with respects to the alchemical rites and initiation. Now, there are some teachers who do this type of work for free. There are some teachers who are non-negotiable in their means of energy exchange. There are some teachers who will accept whatever anybody would offer in terms of donation. And you see with this platform here, I intend to give freely this knowledge in light of that the idea of equal energy exchange is actually taught, and the fact that we are actually learning it. So if that is the corresponding aspect, then payment is just, it's not, I don't believe it is so much adherent to the laws of equal energy exchange as some may think. Now, I myself, I will give away information and practices and teachings. Now I see other people sell these things. Now the argument is that, you could sell your spirituality like an initiation package. When most of money is not even valuable, but people want to accept that for payment. It just doesn't make sense in my mind. So, but I will mention that currently, as it stands, money is somewhat necessary in this world, and that has been made deliberately so. It has been made so the system that we live in. So, moving on. This is what I offer here. And when you look on the side of the website here, let's say you want to click for the initiation package. Level 1 would be a video. It would lead you to a video, and there wouldn't be any payment, but I will share with you right now even what level 1 initiation means. Let me show you here. This one here, click it. It doesn't lead to anywhere yet, but what initiation is kind of like what I am doing here with this show. It is that I myself have been initiated into the mystery, at least to some degree, with respect to my own study and knowledge and integration of that knowledge into my life, into the physical world with reality. The initiation is catered to the individual. It is oftentimes cannot be explained with mundane words of rudimentary nature. Oftentimes is illusory to the mainstream, who would try to disprove or prove it. It is much like the nature of the human mind to the modern scientists who don't understand human mind. Like I said, initiation is analogous to that. And initiation into truth in your own life is key. It's a big part of the reason of why we came here. And on my future episodes here, the next episode, I will be talking about music. And I just wanted to add that there. And we go back here. So, finally, on my website here, if you'd like to get a hold of me, you are seeking initiation, you are seeking guidance, or seeking help, whatever it is you're looking for, I can assist in my own ways. Any questions, any insights, anything anybody would like to add, anything you'd like me to touch on in a future episode, I would encourage the reciprocation of ideas of myself and the audience, and also anybody who would like to come up with their own show. I can help with that as well, with simply teaching when it comes to these digital works, digital graphics or coding or designs, information study or research or mentoring, even life coaching. That is something, I myself have gone through quite a few experiences, and like they say, you can't give what you don't have, and what I have is a lot to give in regards to the experience and knowledge, in light of situations, experiences, traumas, in light of what would seemingly be controversial. Like I say, I approach controversy genuinely with the will and intent to understand truthfully. And you see, lies and deception seek only to shroud out the truth. And if we are knowledgeable and incorporating the power of apophatic thought hypothesis, and we have the proper tools to know and understand whatever deception might lie that is out there and that is so prominent and so prevalent in society and mainstream culture. My apologies. Moving on. You can get a hold of me on my website here. Contact me. My email, kanesiaiden@gmail.com, with whatever insights you might have. On Facebook Messenger, you can find my page at Serpent and Dove. You can see my social media links here. You can find me on Fiverr, Instagram, TikTok, even Library, and Facebook here. Library is another good platform. highly suggest that people go check that out. It's a good alternative to YouTube, who is censoring and doing a whole lot of no good. So we are coming up to an end on this episode. So that's episode number 4. Just an hour and 22 minutes in, but we did touch on some good subjects and good topics here on the subconscious mind. So I highly recommend people just get active. Like I say, if I have a set amount of viewers, I am putting it out there that the viewers must also be taking in this knowledge and just go the full way. Don't stop halfway. Don't stop halfway just because you see something that is a little bit distracting, or we think we have the bigger picture, when in fact we don't. And it's very clear that we don't, not yet, not as a society and not as a race, the human race as a whole. We clearly don't have the bigger picture. And I just need to put that out there. So, yeah, we need to get the ball rolling. We need more people speaking out. And like I said, if I have 100 or 200 viewers or 1,000 viewers or 1,000,000 viewers, then we need to all be active. I see channels with 1,000,000 viewers, but there should be 1,000,000 channels just like that out there in the field of consciousness. Like I say, I want to speak to the layman and be adept in the field. And which field might that be? That is the field of consciousness. So we are endeavoring to understand here on the Serpent and Dove show. So I think we will end it off on that note, and I will thank everybody who is watching here today. Go check out my website, see what I have to offer. Go check out my past episodes, because this is a cumulative knowledge-based tapestry that I am laying out here. And what I have expressed and taught on this show here today, September 12th, is dependent upon the knowledge and understanding of the past 3 episodes. So go and check them out if you have not already. I will have links. You will see the play cards there towards the end. And that will be all. Thank you again for watching.